Hello everyone and welcome to our latest Whirlwind Heights Forecast Center update. We're going to go over the SPC outlooks over the next few days with scattered severe weather possible and perhaps slightly significant severe weather with a low tornado risk over the next few days. We're also going to discuss the tropical activity in the Pacific Ocean that is heating up quite a lot right now. We're also going to talk about the wildfire and flooding risks over the next few days. So without much more to talk about in this intro, let's roll the forecast. Alright guys, and I'm going to begin with our SPC outlooks for severe weather, which for today is a double barrel slight risk one for Arizona. What? Arizona? Southern Arizona there, and not into Texas, Mexico. And then we also have one for the Mississippi River Valley, for northern Arkansas, southern Missouri, northeastern Oklahoma, a lot of Tennessee, northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, southern Illinois, and western Kentucky. Where our tornado risk is a 2% for southeastern Missouri, southern Illinois, and western Kentucky. And we could see isolated tornadoes in this green area. We have a 15% wind risk, which is a drop, and this is a double barrel one, which is driving our slight risk of severe weather for today, both of them. And then our hail risk, we also have a wind risk stretching from the east coast to Mexico. We have a low hail risk for this slight risk area, but this is also not driving our slight risk of severe weather. Alright, tomorrow is a slight risk of severe weather for South Carolina, marginal threat stretching from Texas to the East Coast, and there's another marginal threat for Arizona again. There's a 2% tornado risk. I completely missed this, but there's a marginal threat of severe weather up here too. That's where a tornado threat is for tomorrow, and that's for northeastern Wisconsin and the Michigan Peninsula. Our wind risk, which is driving our slight risk of severe weather, we have one for South Carolina and some of Georgia. We have a 5% stretching from New Mexico all the way to the East Coast, and there's another wind risk for Arizona, which is driving the marginal threat there. And our hail risk is the least concerning part of tomorrow. Real quick, let's also go over there. The same area with this tornado risk also has a damaging wind risk. Alright, and then we have a hail risk for this area as well. So we could see some isolated large hail. Let's go to the day 3 outlook, which is a marginal threat of severe weather, again for the East Coast, northern Florida, a lot of Georgia, and South Carolina. Again, probabilistic, that's a low chance of happening. And there's obviously also a slight risk of severe weather, which has almost changed nothing. There's been basically no change to this. It's for basically Maine, northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, and northern New York. Alright, now I'm going to go over your excessive rainfall outlooks, which for today is a slight risk for the Ohio Valley and northern Dixie Valley. So a massive slight risk of excessive rainfall. Tomorrow there's another slight risk of excessive rainfall for the Mid-Atlantic, south of the Mid-Atlantic for North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, and South Carolina, with that marginal threat stretching from New Mexico to the East Coast. And then our day 3 outlook, we also have another slight risk on the Gulf Coast, which honestly could be upgraded to a moderate risk since this was a day 5 slight risk. Speaking of, and then we got day 4, which is another slight risk for excessive rainfall there in Texas, southwestern Texas to be exact. And then, speaking of day 5 outlook, there's day 5 outlook as well, which is basically the exact same slight risk of excessive rainfall, except it just grows a bit. I mean, that's literally it, which it could actually lead to a bit of a more serious flooding event. Alright, let's go over our fire risk and our relative humidity. We do have an elevated fire risk today for on the West Coast, Washington, Oregon, northeastern California, northwestern Nevada, and a lot of Idaho, excuse me. Tomorrow we got a double barrel elevated fire risk for southern Oregon, northeastern California, western Mexico, Nevada. What is wrong? Southern Montana, a lot of Idaho, and eastern Wyoming. Now let's go over our temperatures. I'm gonna do apparent temperatures here, and I'm gonna go to the NAM. Which there's supposed to be a bit of a cool down across the east central United States. So let's check that out. It does look very windy in these areas. And generally across the northeast, where we just had a big heat wave, it's actually looking like it's going to cool down for a bit. But it could get a bit hot again. Temperatures are going to go into at the highest will probably be around the mid 80s. But there is going to be a heat wave likely in the northern plains, where we could see temperatures soaring up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit and possibly up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit in some areas in North Dakota. And I'm just going to let you know that this is pretty far dang north. I'm not even joking. We could have temperatures up to 80 degrees all way up north here. And then I think heat will eventually return to the Ohio Valley. But it's also going to get very hot here in Illinois, especially in Chicago, where we could see temperatures up to 106 degrees Fahrenheit. So, guys, get ready. It's going to get hot out there. And this heat wave looks like it's going to be going southeast. So, the Ohio Valley is in the direct path of this heat wave, unfortunately. But for now, it looks like over the next few days, things are going to get relatively quiet. Our humidity, which I've not checked this in a while, is actually absurdly high. We're at like almost 100% humidity. Like, that's insane. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's insane. But yeah, it is going to get very humid out here in the Midwest and Ohio Valley, and generally across the eastern and central United States. And I want to go over our tropical activity here in the Pacific Ocean. Showing on satellite, we do have it does look like we have a bit of a tropical disturbance trying to develop here. I'm not sure about this, but we also have another, and this is like growing more and more. We're now at an 80% chance of this developing in the next 7 days. We're officially at a risk of this developing in the next 48 hours, 20%. So it's generally low, but like I'm not ruling out a tropical storm developing over the next 48 hours. It's showing no. It doesn't show spaghetti models here. But yeah, in this area, there's a 10% chance of a tropical storm developing, or tropical disturbance developing here in the next 28 hours. So for 48 hours, So generally a low risk, and 20% for day 7. So generally, this is a low risk of developing. We also have a low risk of tropical development here, north of Kiribati and south of Hawaii. There's a 0% chance of this developing in the next 48 hours, so that risk is non-existent. And there's a 30% risk of this developing in the next 7 days, so generally a low risk of that developing, but it could develop. Day 10, we do have a day 10 low risk. Day 2, low risk. So in the next 48 hours, this has a low risk of developing, but I don't think it's going to do that. But it could develop over the next 7 days. There's a 40% chance of it doing that. So yeah, that's your tropical activity, and then all right. So here's your jet stream, I believe. Or no, let me look for jet stream. Okay, we do have a ridge. Again, we do have a ridge developing over the Great Plains where we could see a bit of high temperatures. And we could see some isolated severe weather over here due to dropping. But generally, again, the severe weather we're seeing over the next few days is mainly going to be isolated and generally low, except for that slight risk in Maine that I honestly think is going to get upgraded to an enhanced risk of severe weather. And let's go over timing of severe weather and flooding over the next few days. And it has been storming across the Ohio Valley and Tennessee over the past few days, and they've been mainly nocturnal storms, and it looks like that's going to continue tonight, where we could see some more storms across Kentucky and Tennessee before that goes down to the south and into the Gulf Coast. And then that's where that flooding risk in Texas will take place. But yeah, that's your general composite. And as you can see, there's also basically going to be no rain here in the Northern Plains. So honestly, I wouldn't even rule out a fire risk here. But generally, for now, that risk will remain low. Okay, that'll be it for today's forecast. If y'all enjoyed today's forecast, share it to other people. I'm not forcing you to, but I appreciate it. And we'll see you guys in the next one.